Welcome back to the Masterclass. We're jumping right into Part A today, and this one is all about the money. Specifically, how hospitals actually get paid for the extra procedures they do in the emergency department. Sure, the facility gets paid for the visit itself, but what about the IV fluids, the injections, the x-rays, or those minor bedside surgeries? Today, we are breaking down those extra charges, which we call ancillary procedures, and the exact rules Medicare uses to pay out for them.
Here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we'll explain OPPE status indicators, then use a quick amusement park analogy to figure out discounting rules, map out some common ED ancillary procedures, and wrap up with a solid documentation checklist. We are focusing purely on status indicators and ancillary codes today, so let's get into it.
Section 1. OPPS Status Indicators Explained. Back in 2000, CMS rolled out the Outpatient Prospective Payment System, or OPPS. And basically, under this system, Medicare uses a specific set of letters to tell you exactly how a service is going to get paid.
These status indicator definitions are literally the rules of the game for facility coding. Every ambulatory payment classification, your APC code, has a letter tagged to it. For ED coders, the big three you'll see every single shift are V, S, and T. Honestly, knowing what these three letters mean is your secret to accurate facility coding. Let's kick it off with status indicator V. The V simply stands for the visit itself. This covers your evaluation and management base level. So if you're assigning a level 3 ED visit, like a 99283, or a level 5, a 99285, those fall right under status indicator V. It represents the baseline resources the hospital used just to evaluate and manage that patient.
Next up is status indicator S. S stands for a significant procedure that is not discounted. This is a great letter for a hospital to see on a claim. It means no matter how many S procedures you bill at once, the facility gets 100% of the payment rate for every single one of them. They never reduce the payment no matter how many you stack up.
And then we have status indicator T. Now, T stands for a significant procedure, where a multiple reduction applies. Pay close attention here, because this is where Medicare starts slicing checks in half. If you perform multiple T procedures during the exact same visit, the highest weighted T procedure gets paid at 100%. But every single T procedure after that, they get discounted down to exactly 50%.
Section 2. The Amusement Park Discounting Rule. If the difference between S and T feels a little abstract right now, don't sweat it. Let's look at a real-world analogy to clear it right up.
Just picture the ED as an amusement park. Status indicator S procedures, those are like buying hot dogs at a food stand. If you buy one hot dog, you pay full price. If you buy 5 hot dogs, you are paying 100% full price for all 5, right? Zero discounts on hot dogs. But status indicator T procedures are like the roller coasters. The park has this rule where you pay full price for your first biggest coaster ride. But if you want to ride a second coaster or a third, they're going to give you 50% off those extra tickets.
Let's see how this math actually plays out in the ED. Imagine a patient comes in, and they end up needing an emergency intubation, an abscess drainage, and CPR, all in one go. The intubation is code 31500, which has a T indicator. The abscess drainage, code 10060, also has a T indicator. But the CPR, code 92950, that one has an S indicator. So because we have 2 T codes, that multiple procedure rule kicks in immediately. The intubation is the heavier, more expensive procedure, so it gets the full 100% payment. The abscess drainage gets bumped down to a 50% discount. But the CPR? Since it's an S code, our hot dog, basically, it gets paid at 100%, totally immune to that T discounting rule.
Section 3. Common ED Ancillary Procedures. Now that we have the mechanics of S and T down, let's map out the actual CPT codes you're going to see day in and day out on the job.
As you can see here, every ancillary code has a specific status indicator and an APC group that decides its payment weight. Let's run through the most common categories you really need to memorize.
First up, drug administration. This is a massive chunk of ED coding. Whether it's a subcutaneous or IM injection like code 96372, an IV push injection like 96374, or your initial and add-on IV infusions, they all share one big thing. They are all status indicator S, meaning they never get discounted. If a nurse gives 3 completely different IV push meds, the facility gets 100% payment for all 3.
Moving on to airway and resuscitation. We brought this up earlier, but it is definitely worth repeating. Emergency intubation, code 31500, is a T.
That means if you do another T procedure, say a wound repair on that same patient, a multiple reduction is going to apply. But CPR, code 92950, is an S. It stands totally on its own and gets fully paid under APC 5722.
Diagnostics are also super common. When the ED staff runs an EKG tracing, code 93005, or does a 2-view chest X-ray, code 71046, you guessed it, those are status indicator S2. They generate their own separate APC payments without any worry about multiple procedure reductions.
Finally, bedside minor procedures. This is where the T indicator really takes over. If the provider does a simple laceration repair, an intermediate repair, or an incision and drainage of a skin abscess, these are all T indicators. Say a patient comes in from a nasty bike crash and they need a cut stitched on their arm, plus another cut stitched on their leg. That multiple reduction rule definitely applies. The facility gets full pay for the first repair and 50% for the second.
Section 4. The ED Documentation Checklist. Knowing the codes and letters is honestly just half the battle. As a facility coder, you're essentially acting as an auditor of the chart. If a procedure isn't documented right, you literally cannot legally bill for it.
So, what exactly are you looking for? Well, here is your checklist.
Number 1. For any IV infusion, you have got to verify the exact start and stop times on the Medication Administration Record, the MAR. You can't just code an infusion based on a doctor's order, you need the actual times. Second, for IV push medications, you need exact timestamps. Third, for minor procedures like those laceration repairs we talked about, check the provider notes for exact anatomical wound size measurements in centimeters. If a provider just writes small cut, you've got a problem. And finally, always confirm that all staff procedural notes are properly signed and dated.
Which brings us to the messy reality of the job. What actually happens when you get a disaster of a chart? Like, what do you do when a trauma patient rolls in? Total chaos erupts, and a nurse completely forgets to log the exact stop time for a major IV infusion. Do you just guess? Do you downgrade it and bill an injection instead? Well, we are going to tackle that exact question and completely dissect some real-world ED encounter notes in Part 9. You definitely won't want to miss that one. See you in the next explainer.